All right, people, welcome back to the show. Today with us, we got DJ Thielen. DJ, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, thanks, buddy. Good to be here, man.
Oh, this is going to be very fun. So I know you've done a lot in real estate, 3,500 properties, 350 million in transactions in your career. You guys have now 800 properties in real estate. So today we're going to talk a lot about real estate, raising money, scaling, buying, selling, probably some war stories that you've gone through as well. You also formerly played for the Giants as well. You were drafted in the MLB, which is amazing. So we're going to talk about that. But just a pleasure to have you on today. It's going to be a fun call. So welcome on.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
This is awesome. So let's talk about the Giants. So you were the 6th overall pick in the Giants.
I was a Giants 6th pick in 1991. And I was just looking at that the other day. So, my dream, Bridger, was, I grew up single mom, no dad in the mix, had some abuse, ADD, wasn't into school. So thank God I was athletic. But just at 19, Giants took me at a high pick. And that started
That's amazing. Was that out of high school? Or did you play college ball for a little bit?
Junior college. Yeah, out of junior college.
Really? Yep. What position did you play?
Well, I was third base, and back in the early 90s, man, that was not a good place to be in the Giants behind Matt Williams. So, it was like being behind Bonds.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, the 90s MLB, were you around the steroid era, and did you ever see that? What was kind of your thoughts on it? You look pretty. You're pretty ripped. I don't know. How did that all go with the 90s MLB?
Yeah, 52 now. You know what, buddy? I think that a lot of guys got into it because you had Sosa, what kind of started it? What really blew it up was you had Sosa and McGuire that, have this jacked up year, and they go out and hit whatever, 59, 60 home runs. And then you got Bond sitting back who has, the biggest ego in the world. And you're going, all right, I'm going to show them. And so it just was it seemed like it was kind of I'm going to show you kind of thing. But I think with steroids, obviously it makes you bigger, grows your head a little bit. But I think it just when you get older, like they were, it really repairs the, injuries. You can play every day without getting injured. So that obviously leads to more at bats, which if you have more at bats, it leads to, more hits, more home runs. So, if you take a guy that already has a high belief in himself and give him more belief, it's like a superhero, man, so
you're kind of saying half of it was obviously the physical stuff, but the other half was the mental compounding effect of I can do more and more and be better. Interesting, huh?
Oh yeah. If you think about it, I say this all the time, Bridger, people ask me, say, DJ, what was the thing that separated the big league guys from the minor league guys? And I tell them, I say, it's work ethic and showing up, but it's really one thing. It was the guys that believed they were better than they were. It was the guys with below average talent, below average size, but they believed that they were just so much better than they were, that they actually tapped this next level of potential inside themselves. And they raised the game. They played at this whole new level. And then the guys that, the A-Rods, the Bonzes, the guys that had the talent and they believed, those are the all-stars, the Hall of Fame guys.
Really cool, huh? That's an interesting concept. They weren't as talented, but they just believed they were a better player than they actually were. And it kind of became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
100%. Yeah, it's like anything in life. I think you have to see yourself there before you're there, and call it faith, call it vision, call it a vision board, whatever. But you've got to believe. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to.
I like to tell people, I do this with my wife. I like to taste it, to feel it, to touch it, like your vision board. I like to drive to the rich neighborhoods or drive by that yacht or that.
Yeah,
whatever.
me too.
I like to touch it, and I like to be around it. And it just feels like I always tell myself, like, just give me a year or two, give me a couple of years. I'll be there. Give me a couple of years. We're going to be there, you know?
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with my wife a little bit ago, and it was funny. She mentioned something like, we were talking kind of crazy. We were talking about like a huge yacht. And for whatever reason, she kind of brought up like, oh, like we'll never get there. And I literally told her, I'm like, honey, you can't, like, I kind of got serious because we were joking around. And I said, honey, you can't say that to me. Like, that can't be in our language. Even if we don't want it, or whatever, like, we're going to have the option though to buy that boat. Even if we don't want it, we're going to have the option to buy that.
100%, man.
And I was like, honey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm running businesses, and I know we're just playing around, but like, just remember this, like, we just we can't have that language even between us. And, and she's been really good at that. And I like that kind of concept and idea. So you're in the league, you're playing. Now, how long did you play? And then also, how did you transition into real estate? Walk us through your story.
Yeah. So basically what happened, Bridger, was I didn't have a dad. And so my whole thing was, I was saying to myself, one day, man, if I ever have a kid, when you're young, you have a dad, obviously you can, have a lot of anger and not really understand what's going on. And so I was said, if I have a son someday, I'm going to be there. So as I was coming through the minor leagues, was one of our top prospects, was just on the verge of getting to the major leagues, met a gal after a game, got her pregnant. Right. And it was like, oh my God, what the heck. Right. Yeah. So, then he was born in 1996 on April Fool's Day, actually 4/1/96. So Devin comes along, and he had some breathing issues. And so I was really torn. I had a talk with Dusty Baker, who was the one of the coaches at the time. And Dusty was like, hey, DJ, man, I love you, brother. Like, you got to do what's right as a man. Like, I get it. Like, I want to have you back and that kind of thing. And so it was really good. We talked for about an hour, and it was really comforting to me. Like, I'm just going to take this year off, and then I'm going to figure out kind of the next step. And from there,
it was because your son had this kind of breathing issue, problem, complications. And were you with the girl at the same time? Were you guys separated, or what was the plan there?
We tried to make it work. It didn't. I ended up raising him his whole life. Now he's 27, owns a thriving sneaker store, little entrepreneur. But at the time, Bridger, it was just like, it's kind of like anything, like, hey, my dad's an alcoholic, so I'm never going to drink. Right. So for me, it was like, hey, my dad wasn't there, so I want to be there. And so that was like the first step. And then from there, 1 year passed, and I thought about going back, and I'm like, nah, I can't leave him. And so I just never went back and left the game, and started my journey in entrepreneurship.
Wow. That's an honor to you being a good dad and saying, I'm going to raise this.
Thanks, man.
It's my responsibility. I'm going to do this. I think that's amazing. That's awesome. So you transitioned out of the league. I'm sure you made some money there. And what was the play? What was your plan? What did you do?
Man, I left. I had I don't know why I got college in my contract. I hated school. So I'm like, I got 4 years of college, but I ain't going back to college. And so
they were going to pay for it, or what?
Yeah. I was in the contract. And so I'm like, man, why did I even get school? Like, I hated school. But so I just start working, right? You start figuring out life. And then pretty soon I had a guy, Bridger, I was 26 and a half. His name was Chuck Roberts, and he was the #1 sales guy in the country for a home security company called Protection One. They were like ADT. They were kind of second largest company in the country. And I started doing some telemarketing for this company that he ran the sales team for. Well, he came to me one day and said, hey, DJ, like, do you want to make some extra money? And obviously it was a good question, right? I'm like, I got to see, of course, right? Yeah. So I said, yeah, man, of course. And he said, hey, me and this guy, Don St. Mary, we're leaving. We're starting our own company, and I'll take you under my wing. I'll teach you everything. You'll be my only sales rep for the first year. So cool. It was a real blessing. I had this dude that was incredible at sales take me under his wing and mentor me and coach me. And, he taught me a lot about sales, but he taught me more about, it was just that whole reinforcement of life, like first to show up to the office, last one to leave. And, like the intangibles, the work ethic and the stuff the same things that were in baseball, like you show up to the field, you get your work in, you believe in yourself.
Wow.
and good things will happen, you know? So
Gotcha. So you're learning sales with this guy. What years is this?
this was like 90. So Devin was born in 96. So 90, 97, 98. And then I was there for a couple years. I left, as a young guy, thought I knew everything, right? At 29. And I started my own company. And then I ended up getting lucky and selling it in the early 2000s, 2005, and went to a Kiyosaki event, man, and I was hooked. I was hooked on real estate.
Okay. So, and did you have a good amount of cash from that sale?
Yeah, I had a little over $1 million. And so
So then you're on real estate now. So like walk us through your real estate. I mean, going from
yeah,
zero, you never been in this field before, to 350 million in transactions and stuff. And did you primarily syndicate those deals? Did you do funds? What did you do?
no. So what I did was I had a friend, so I had this money and I knew nothing about real estate. So I go to this Kiyosaki event. I'm like, okay, cash flow quadrant. I get it. Like, this is cool. I want to be an investor. So I jumped in and I go to this event over the weekend. On Monday, I went to, I told my brother, I said, hey man, he goes, hey, let's go through these books, this material. I said, man, I'm just going to go and buy some homes. He goes, where are you going to go and buy homes? I said, dude, I'm just going to go on eBay. So I literally, this is true story. I went on eBay. By the way, never do this for anyone listening. I went on eBay, about 10 homes for 50 grand. And I'm like, total, right? And I'm like, man, I'm going to be this millionaire. I'm going to make all this money.
How'd you swing that? Like, what is that? How does that work?
So I went on eBay. I saw this guy selling 10 properties in Pennsylvania and Ohio for 50 grand. I bought this package. I fly out there. I go to the first house. It's torn down. I call the guy. His number's disconnected. Right. I'm like, oh, geez, this is not good. So but it led me there. And then what I did, Bridger, was.
But it was legit. You didn't get scammed. Like, you actually bought the properties. They were just more beat up than you thought.
Yeah, more beat up. Torn down. Okay. Cool. Falling over. So it led me there. And I said, I want to pick one market, and bless you.
Oh, thank you.
I want to pick one market and kind of hone in and build a team, because I'm 3,000 miles away in Seattle, Washington. So I said, I really like the Pittsburgh area. So I honed in on there. And my first year I picked up 25 doors. I had 25 rentals. And kind of stumbled through, obviously, dealing with contractors and management, right? I stumbled through that for many years. But once I figured it out, and then I had a couple of friends come to me and say, hey, DJ, man, we want to get in on this. And so I said, listen, I'm not just going to get you a deal because it's cheap and you're going to have contractors rip you off. Management sucks. Like, you're going to want to stab me in the face. So I said, I'll get you some deals, but I need to get the property, fix the property, rent it. Like, I need to control it. Otherwise it's going to be a bad experience. And so I helped a couple buddies do that, Bridger. And then that led to word spreading. And it just took off. And then I had people coming to me.
You were helping them or consulting them, or what
I was helping them. So what I was doing was I would go out and I'd find the properties. And then what happened was, from getting my own. So imagine this was in 05, I sold my company, 06, 07. So now the foreclosures start flushing. And so as the foreclosure started flushing, I had all these investors that I was helping to get properties for. And I got to be, friends with a lot of the REO agents and all that. Hey, DJ, we have, 5 properties that are hitting. Hey, we got 10 properties. And so they would tell me what they're going to be listed for and say, hey, those relationships, right? So I won't mention any of their names, but I wasn't related to them. So it was good. So I kind of had this inside track to get these deals, and I started helping people get properties. And then it just started just really, really accelerating. And I looked up one day, I was like, holy crap, man, we just sold like over 100 properties in a month. And so it was crazy how fast it happened. And then
are you doing this as an agent, like a real estate agent or a broker, or
no, just invest. So I would do one of two things. I would actually put the deal under contract. They would send me so then I would put the deal under contract and I would sell it to them. They would send me the funds up front, and then I would double close, essentially using their funds. So that was one way, or I would just wholesale. Yeah, wholesale and assign it to them. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then
you're on that. And now kind of speed us up to today, 2023. How many properties are you still assigning? A lot of properties? Are you managing them? Are they all just your investment properties? Do you syndicate capital together? What are you kind of doing today?
So today, we actually, so a couple things. So we have just over 800 doors that I own. No partners. My brother is in with me on some, but so that's great. And so you have kind of two stories, like the Tim Bratz, who's a buddy of mine. They have thousands of units, but you have multiple people that own them, and that's great. Of course, you could do it. I think that's the cool thing with real estate is there's multiple ways that you could do it. And it's not like one way and you this way's better. So, but for me, I just like to have the control. So if I want to leverage something, if I want to sell it, if I want to refi, if I can kind of call the shots without going to a board with, 18 people on it. And so, or multiple GPs and all of that. So so for me, that was just, it was kind of how I started, and I just kind of stuck in it and just evolved and it grew.
Yeah. So what are you guys seeing right now in the real estate markets with, interest rates this last year? We had well, first off, let's talk about the moratorium. We had a moratorium, then you have now rates, they were at zero. Now rates are skyrocketing, fastest rate in 30 or 40 years, rate hikes. Where do you kind of feel like things are? Well, let's talk about where they've been the last 12 months. What's been your at least feeling on the real estate market where it's been, and then the follow-up question will be where it's going the next 12 to 18 months. So let's talk about last year and a half. What have you seen, where the deal's been, what's been good, what's been bad the last year?
You know what, Bridger, man, I think that, there's so much information out there now that people have access to, obviously YouTube, right? And so YouTube, social, and so everybody, like for me, where I think it is I think the last year was just the start of the correction. I think that our economy is being propped up with falsely. I feel like where it really is a lot worse than what it looks like where it is, if that makes sense. And I feel like, it's going to be, I don't know where the bottom is. I think it's going to be somewhere in 2025, because anytime that something hits, it takes time. If a meteor hits the center of the ocean, it takes time for the tidal wave to hit shore, right? So I feel like 2025 is going to be, I think, a great time. It could be sooner, could be 24. I don't think
funny, people listening too. It's funny. I was doing some research. If you look at the great financial crash, Q2, Q3 of 2011 was the low for real estate. 2011, everyone's like the 2007, 2008 crash, the best time to buy. If you look at a chart, medium home prices bottomed in 2011. That's how long it took for real estate to adjust. Now, stock market was well different and stuff, but real estate has a longer cycle to kind of back up your point.
Yeah. And I feel like too, there's been, you look at the trillions of dollars flooded into the economy. So you look at like all of this stuff that has been propping it up, right? But then you had the obviously COVID and all of that. And that's a whole nother chat. But I feel like with where things are at now, I think if you have the right mindset, that you can always win. If you're I'm big, I meditate in the morning, I do my gratitude, I do all that. And so I think that if you have the right mindset, you're always going to be looking for the opportunity, and you're always going to be looking for the upside, the bright side of the situation. So I feel like having that as an advantage in any market, or any, market cycle, I should say. But when it comes to the actual opportunities, man, I mean, look, the more that fear is instilled into into people, the more that people are going to make irrational decisions. the more that they're going to panic. They're not, real estate isn't for everyone. I tell people this all the time. Like it is, and out of state, remote real estate is for sure not for everybody. So, so I think that you have to understand where your threshold is and what you're willing to take on and not take on. But man, I think that,
what do you think if you're going to advise somebody who's wanting to get into real estate, what kind of personality traits, or back to that question, what would you say, like, what's like something that makes a good real estate investor versus a bad real estate investor, in your opinion?
So I feel like, a good real estate investor, to me, right? Like I tell my team this all the time. If somebody is beating you over the head and they're a real jerk and all that, it's just not your client, not our client. So what I found, Bridger, is that the people with the most money typically have the most time. So they've taken the money to buy more time back, right? So people that are kind of on the come up, or they're just always busy, they're not available. But the people that have a lot of money, you seem to be able to reach them a little easier. And I've learned that, I've seen that, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And so they use the money to buy their time back. And so I'm sorry, what was the exact question you asked?
The question was difference between good real estate investors and bad real estate investors.
Yeah, so I think good real estate investors are
and what traits do they have? Personality traits.
Personality traits. I think that you gotta be an optimist. If you're successful in real estate, that you're going to run into unexpected like circumstances, right? There's always, so I think the ones that can keep their head calm when the storm is out there and you're going through a storm, the ones that can keep a cool head, I think that's a great personality trait. Kind of even tempo, right? The highs aren't, kind of like in baseball. Hey, don't let the highs be too high and the lows be too low. And so I think that's in real estate, it's the ones that can just navigate, take the emotion out of it. I think the ones that have high emotion, it's tough because you're riding these, you're riding these ups and downs. And I feel like people that are just optimists, I think optimists are always gonna come out ahead. Because you're gonna, whatever lens that you're looking at the world through is what is going to come back. So if you're looking for the good, if you're looking for the opportunity, if you're looking for, hey, what's something that I can learn from this? What is something that I just feel like having that abundant mindset and not allowing the stresses of things. It's kind of like, I would say, people try to fix the fruit on the tree by buying things and or substances or whatever, but really it's like they're just fixing the fruit on the tree. It's not really dealing with the root of the problem. So the root of the problem is it's an internal game. It's happiness, it's peace, it's tranquility, it's gratitude. And so I think fixing that first, everything else will, fall into place. Now you got a tree that can produce good fruit forever.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. Walk me through, you obviously, I like you mentioned meditation, morning routine. Walk me through your health and your diet and all that kind of stuff. What do you like to do? What do you like to keep yourself young and healthy?
Man, at almost 52 now, I think, so this is my routine. Wake up, walk for about 3 miles, have a glass of water, have a coffee, gotta have the coffee, I walk for about 3 miles, 3.5 miles, go and weight lift, in the gym, go down and swim, do my meditation and come back. So the morning routine is probably about, from the time I wake up, it's about a 2.5 hour deal. By the time I shower, I eat, and I'm ready to get rolling by 8:30. So I get up about 6. And then by 8:30, I'm just getting ready and getting going. And by 9, I'm ready to hit the phone. But I think it's, for me, it's been a game changer to really take that morning to set the vibration for the day. When I'm meditating, I smile, I'm in the pool, right? People that are looking at me are probably looking down going, what's that guy doing down there? But it's just smiling and just feeling happiness and gratitude, and and then you just do your best to carry that vibration through the day, man. And I think if you can do that, and there will be challenges and there'll be ups and downs, and of course, but I think the more that you can do that and control that morning, I mean, like for me, that's been huge. And also like I mentioned, Bridger, peace, happiness, tranquility. People aren't talking about this. I mean, you look at the suicide rate out there, you look at stress, you look at just everything going on right now. Man, people are like, they're cracking, and there's stuff going on all the time. And you had this guy, the Bed Bath Beyond, jumped off his bridge. This guy, Twitch, sad story in Los Angeles, and committed suicide supposedly. And so when you look at this, man, people are cracking. And I think that they're just, it's so much stimulation that it's just overwhelming. And we weren't designed for that, And so, so I just feel like controlling the morning, and starting with that, just a healthy routine that can kind of set the tone for the day. And, maybe one day you look up and you got 5 rings like this guy behind me, Kobe.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome. Well, that's cool. I know there's a lot that goes into that. And I think it's underrated. I think in business, sometimes we talk too much of X's and O's and tactics, and we forget about the essence of, we, like, your body, your mind is really the greatest asset you ever have. Right. And you got to take care of that asset. Okay. I got 2 more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up. So DJ, second to last question. First up, where can people find you? Where can people connect if they want to follow you or see your journey, whatever it is? What's the best place to send people? And then I'll get the final question for you.
Yeah. Best place, buddy, is just go to my Instagram. I mean, I'm on all the platforms, but go to my Instagram. It's just at D.J.Thielen, Thielen, my last name. Best place to find me is on Instagram. Shoot me a DM, that kind of thing. So
cool. Okay. It's awesome. Go check them out on Instagram. Then final question. I love asking people those questions. So if I haven't prepped you on this, so here you go. You can prep yourself. If this was your last podcast, last message you had with the world, and you wanted, people to remember you by one thing, what would that thing be? And you can, if you wanted to share something that was most important to you, most valuable, that you wanted people to remember, like that was the most valuable thing. And this is your last time you could share it. I'll give you about 1 minute, minute and a half to share. And you can talk real estate, spiritual stuff, religion, like whatever you want. You decide whatever would be most valuable to you. So with that, I haven't prepped you for this, so I hope you got something. And with that, DJ, you got the mic. What do you think?
No, thanks, buddy. I think, Bridger, I would tell people, look, first of all, taking accountability for everything that happens in your life is huge. It'll truly change your perspective on life. It'll change how you view things. And it will really just help you as a human being evolve. And again, going back to, I think gratitude has changed my life. Starting my day with gratitude, doing it during the day. If I feel stressed, just going back to focusing on what you can control, right? And then lastly is understanding that we have more control over ourselves than we think. I mean, think about this. We can control what we think. We can control what we eat. We can control our feelings. We can control our emotions. And a lot of times we go through life and we're just responding and we're just reacting to everything that comes at us, instead of understanding, man, I can control what I'm thinking. I can control what I'm feeling. I can actually control if I'm upset or happy. And I think if people could just understand, as a humanity, that, man, we have so much more power than we give ourselves credit for, that we have so much more control over actually what can happen in our lives and what we can control. And I think if we can just simplify it and focus on that, and understand that, hey, I'm going to control the things I can control, and all the other stuff, I'm just going to let the chips fall where they will. And I think, you look up one day and like I said, man, you got 5 rings like Kobe back here, Yeah. So that's it, man.
Awesome. I love it. So
that's what I got for
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much for coming on today. Again, go follow DJ on Instagram. DJ, you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.